Hello and welcome back to Alchemy with Sheeana Leigh. It has been some time since I have graced your ears and your eyes if you're watching with the podcast. And after a few months off, I am back in the hot seat and ready to share what I've been doing and how I've been flowing and going. And I have so many stories of alchemy to share with you as we unwind deeper into the podcast. But for today's episode, I'm just really going to give you a hello and a welcome and share what I've been doing, where I've been traveling, and what has come out of it, because I feel like I have cracked open to a new woman again, as we do, 1,000 different women in these lifetimes. But the last few months have been so transformational for me. I got prepared and had the honor of hosting a wedding ceremony over in a vortex in Sedona, which was really cool. So Hannah, who I've had on the podcast a few times here, invited me to be her sort of land priestess and ceremonialist, and it was an honor, an absolute honor. I had never met Hannah in person, and honestly, it was just such a privilege to be able to be welcomed to a different country with open arms, open and loving arms, connect in real life, and to really help her midwife herself into a wife and transition. It was such a beautiful process. And originally, when I left America, I didn't left Australia. I didn't even want to go to America. I reconnected with somebody who I have known for a really long time, and I was in this really lush, beautiful space and really feeling myself be happy and free, and really thought that I was actually creating something, creating a life with this person. So when I left, I went through a little bit of a depressing space of like not wanting to be in America, not wanting to be there. And I moved through that pretty quickly and opened myself up, and I had some incredible experiences. I walked through like Phoenix and Arizona, met Hannah, and we landed in. I did some work with beautiful Jade, who I've also had on the podcast. She's incredible. And I did some shape body work within myself and really understood like my organic shape, how my energy works. And that was a 3-day intensive. So that in and of itself was such an enlightening experience, learning about how my energy moves, how my body moves, how I work within the field of my own personal architecture. It was so enlightening, actually, and I got so much from it. And from that, so many things started opening up. So many doors opened up for me. I was around at the time where Nicole Denona from One Taste was actually on trial and going to court for her infamous sex cult, apparently, and I'm putting that in air quotes. I did not know anything about this community, but I've seen lots of people talk about it in my industry because obviously I'm in the tantra and sexuality, sensuality world and somatic therapy world. So a lot of people talk about these famous teachers or these famous people, and they were the founder of meditation, so orgasmic meditation. And now I got a taste of this through my work with Layla Martin and Gina, Mama Gina. She talks about like pussy stroking and stuff like that. So I had a bit of a taste of it, didn't really understand too much, but it's a whole world over there. And if you know me, I actually detach a lot from people in my industry who are well renowned and have a large platform, mostly because I don't want to wash my voice and my message with a lot of people. And as somebody who is a teacher and a facilitator, when I first started beginning my business, I would compare myself to other people a lot. So I actually detached from a lot of that world. I don't even follow like my mentors realistically because I want to find my own voice and my own way. So I was really out of touch. And I got to an invitation to actually go to New York and to meet with this community and connect with them behind the scenes. So after I kind of transitioned into the wedding space, which was absolutely phenomenal, let me share a bit about that first, actually, before I get into the New York chapter and onwards. But I really connected with Hannah and her family and community, and it was really beautiful to yeah, be received in that space and do something I love, which is I love love. I am a lover of love. It's not the first people I've ever married and been in ceremony for. I did a sort of tantric wedding ceremony for some friends and peers a few years ago, and they called me their love priestess, and it was the cutest thing ever. And it's really an honor to hold people in that space. It is a big moment, having been married myself and gone through that sort of transition and that initiation. It's a lot. So being able to help people through it was incredible. We did this massive walk. Sedona was a massive portal. Just being there was such an energetic alignment in my body. I did a bit of land work when we did a bit of hiking one day, and I did a bit of land work and anchored into the grids there, and Sandra Walter did a fair bit of work there, and it was nice to tap into a bit of my land work element again, because I find that I tap in and out of spaces a lot. But land work is something I've been working with for like 15 years. And it's something that I tap into and energetically weave consistently. As a matter of fact, it's something that I hold so highly in my work that I believe a lot of the women are disconnected from the lands and the grids. And that is why we're the way we are in society at the moment. It's quite interesting. So I held the ceremony on the land, anchored in, got them married. It was really beautiful. I really got to meet a lot of people that I have connected with online for some time. And it was nice to just be people on my frequency, on my level. A lot of my work I do myself. Australia is it's quite lonely sometimes. It can be a lonely experience. And people who are disembodied or not really connected. And I'm not a very spiritual woo-woo person. Even though I actually don't hang around that many people who are in that field of work. And because I work by myself and at home, it's really nice to feel that sense of community by connecting with people who are on your frequency, on your energy, in the same line of work, in embodiment. It just feels different to your body and system, and it feels like home. So once I relished in that, had a wedding, we had two wedding ceremonies, and one of the wedding ceremonies I actually drank for. I don't really drink that much, and I feel like it was a huge mistake, actually, and it's probably one of those times where I'm like, I don't really think drinking is for me anymore. I spent a large portion of my life in the completely sober because of my liver. I've spoken about that previously, but I definitely, yeah, didn't take the altitude. I don't know what happened and kind of overdid it. And then that was like a bit of an experience in and of itself, learning that perhaps it doesn't agree with me and my body and it's not so good for me, which I am so okay with sharing, because I find a lot of people in my community, in my line of work, don't really share the behind the scenes vulnerability of like just being a real human and going through experiences that would shift your perception and change it. And this was definitely one of mine where I'm like, okay, perhaps that time is done for me. And yeah, I moved through like a bit of like embarrassment and a little bit of shame and came out feeling okay. I'm pretty resilient. Less than 24 hours later, I was back in my body and feeling good and happy and loving life again. So that's something I can attest to. And even Hannah reflected back to me. It's quite interesting how you can stretch and be uncomfortable and move through things really quickly, which I want to highlight because I had to move through a lot of things quickly as I was traveling around. When we were hiking, I had this fear and phobia that I was going to fall over and hurt myself. Last year, hurting my pelvis really moved me through a bit of like body, just shifted my perception on my body and what it's capable of too, because it was so small. I literally just lifted a couch and it had me on my back 3 weeks. And so just being really tender with my body. And I thought I was going to die climbing up this mountain, and pretty much had a full mental meltdown, and then had to really anchor myself into the land and into my body and into my presence and being, so that I could actually hold everybody else in the ceremony and walk people through and hold them in their union and marriage. So that was really interesting. I met so many beautiful people there that would just welcome me in with arms wide open, with all my mess and flaws, like being the little Aussie. And flew over there and didn't really have a game plan in sight. And I love to travel this way. I think that traveling is so fun when you just surrender to the mystery, and there's like an element where you're just following your intuition and your body wisdom deeper than you could ever do in the comfort of your own home and surroundings. I really believe that traveling to different lands and traveling and surrendering opens up opportunities and portals within your body that otherwise go untapped. And it's one of the moments that I feel the freest and the liberators, like mask drop off. I'm just authentically being me. And that's why I enjoy it and love it so much. And so grateful that I have surrendered so much to the mystery that I can go like that. So many plans kept falling apart, lifts and rides and everything. I missed a plane. I accidentally, decided to try a gummy and got on a plane and missed my flight, which was absolutely hilarious because I've never really done anything like that before or missed a flight. And they had to stop the plane and because my passport was on my bags that were already on the plane. And then I needed my passport to get through security. And it was like a whole fiasco. And it's something that I can laugh about now. But I love these like absurd moments in time. And while I moved through that, I got the opportunity to go to New York and to meet the people in the On community and One Taste community. And I followed that call. I caught up with a girlfriend of mine in New York and went and connected with these people doing amazing things in the sexual industry, in the liberation industry, in the women's fields, for the homeless. And it was really empowering to sit with like-minded people that really want to change the world and making moves in doing that. And that's something I really found inspiring and something I really took away with me. I sat with a few people quite often and talked about my dreams and desire and, these inspirations for sexual liberation and moving through healing that on a deeper level and layer and lens. I shared with some people and opened up the space of possibility for that to expand in those areas. And it felt really good, really wholesome. I was feeling very alive. I also sat with the feeling after the wedding of perhaps calling in a partner and a partner who I wanted to do this work with, feeling the call to actually create legacy with someone and create change in the world with somebody. I kind of have been sitting with this desire for a little bit, but it came through so strong when I was in America of like, I actually want to do this with someone. I don't want to have two separate lives. I want to be able to weave this with somebody who can see my specialness, my rareness. And instead of like trying to really crush that flame of me and my passions, to stoke the fire and make it burn brighter together. I'm really big on legacy for the world and creating change. And this is why I do what I do, my podcast included. Everything I do and share is to help just one person. And I say this all the time. I do not care if I have to sit here with my bleeding heart in my hands and share my stories and my alchemical process if it helps just one person. If my bleeding heart and my vulnerability and my real stories and getting rid of the smoke screens and the mask just helps one person to shift their perception or to change or to sit with their own gnosis and give themselves permission for radical acceptance, I am willing to do that each and every time. I really strongly attest to that I will be raw and vulnerable, which leads me to my next part of what I've been up to those last few months. I transitioned over to Salem after this. It was a really intense time in Salem. I caught up with a beautiful girlfriend there and again, anchored in this desire, this calling in, this wanting a partnership and a desire for stepping into my leadership more, my voice more, using my medicine and not holding myself back. Instead of staying small and basically in this space of keeping myself underground, like I am actually willing and ready to step up and take the handles of my destiny and drive it, basically. I have a big calling and a big thing in the works for my work, who I serve, what I do, the medicine I share. I feel like I've been playing it very small and it's all out of fear. I have been afraid of claiming my own desires and speaking it, and claiming my own power as a woman, as an intelligent, somatic baddie who is powerful. I downplay it a lot, and it is imperative that I stop doing that. That has been really highlighted to me. So when I finished in America, I could have stayed longer, and I should have stayed longer. There was a call to stay longer and to network, meet some people, but I had a stronger pull in my heartstrings to come home, anchor in, and create home here. And yeah, reconnect with somebody and really expand out into the field and zone of my genius, I thought. But when I came home and when I came back, I experienced a massive rupture in this relationship that basically completely changed my perception completely on my work, on myself, on who I am, what I stand for, what I will accept. And I have so much lessons and mistakes that I've learned from this that I will share with you in a deeper, more powerful space where we really dissect it. Because as you know, I use all of my relationships and all of my medicine and share it with you. But basically, this relationship, or whatever you may call it, connection, was completely flipped upside down. The person that I thought they were was not that person. I was very mentally, emotionally, even physically torn down. I was picked apart. My character was picked apart. My work was picked apart. My character and who I was as a person was very much attacked. Some awful, nasty things were said. And yeah, I suffered some immense emotional abuse and volatile behavior in which I reacted very volatile to and towards out of protection. I went through a huge betrayal to my heart and my body and had to kind of move through that all myself, which allows me to really highlight and see how well I can move through things, how fast I can move through things, and how well I can hold myself in these big sensational experiences. And basically, it all kind of unraveled very quickly. I mean, in a time of a couple of weeks, I was sleeping in a car on the side of the road of an evening time because it had escalated so much that, yeah, I was kind of removed from the place. And it was an experience. I was deeply traumatized. I was deeply activated in my body. A lot of my old traumas and woundings came up, as in my wounding for home and safety was activated. Emotional safety was like completely severed. And it was just really an enlightening experience. I have learned a lot of lessons, what I'm worth, how much I value myself, how much I am fiercely in my core, know to the being, like in my being, know who the fuck I am, what I will put up with, what I will do not, what I will not. I have really understood that people will try and tear you down in your most vulnerable spots and the places that you really hold highly. So my calling and my work is massive. It's a huge driving force in my life. Like everything I do is to help people heal their trauma, their sexual trauma, their abuse trauma, and their wounding. And I find it very interesting that I've called in something quite traumatic in real time in this moment in time in my life, especially because I have done so much work on myself. And I really wanted to sit with you here and share that there is this expectation for women, highly sensitive women or empathetic women, people who do this line of work, that they won't get sucked into dynamics that are manipulative or toxic because they should know better, or they wouldn't put up with it because they should know better, or they be activated and react under stress or duress or when they're dysregulated. And it is simply absolutely not true. I believe you can for a certain amount of time before your body unwinds and you go into attack mode or reaction mode and protect yourself when you're dysregulated. And there's nothing wrong with that. You know, we have this extreme expectation for women in my field to hold themselves to a higher caliber and then just expect mistreatment and unconditional love and support. And it is simply not true. I believe that that is a trap that keeps us looped in these dynamics, thinking that if we try harder, love harder, care more, it will be better. And I'm going to talk all about that on a whole different podcast. But I basically transitioned back and honestly fell into a whole huge network of support. Honestly, women have breathed me back to life super fast. I am connected by the most beautiful human beings that just held out their arms and their hearts and opened up their spaces for me to go and collapse for a few days. And once I collapsed for a few days and my system went out of sort of fight and flight mode and I was more regulated, I slept so much and ate so much, felt so good. I pretty much transitioned and moved through things very fast. I've been basically navigating legalities and this, that, and the other since then. There's more that I will be sharing on that, but basically I'm coming out the other side. That was a few weeks ago. It was like 3 weeks ago now. And it's taken me a little bit of time to get back into my body, back into my embodiment, back into my sensuality, sexuality, my pleasure, and my joy. But I am back and I am here. And honestly, this type of relating was huge calling for me to drop into my voice more, to share my work more, to stop cycles of abuse and trauma and sort of what we should be looking for. And I feel like I really called this experience in so that I can share from a more lived experience space. I have been through this times in my life. Actually, only, one time when I was very young, I went through a pretty abusive, sort of traumatic relationship. This was very similar. And I had almost forgotten what it was like, what it felt like in your body and being, the coercion, the control, until I revisited it. Basically, as awful as that sounds, because I had such a loving, beautiful marriage and relationship with my ex-husband for so long that I was constantly being emotionally supported and safe and sharing. My body and nervous system never flared up like that into an aggressive state, into this little wounded girl essence of me. And let me tell you, that part in me is still very much alive when she gets activated. And, that is not who I am at my core. I am this person at my core. I am warm and loving and affectionate and kind and giving and satiated in my feminine expression and soft. And I'm fierce too, don't get me wrong. And I'm a little firecracker and fireball and I know what I want and can speak into it. But I am really fucking strong. And I also wanted to say that I am still that little traumatized teenager and little girl lashing out when things feel unsafe. I feel unheard, not emotionally safe, when my body feels like it's being taken advantage of, when my warmth is being used, when I feel like my empathy is being turned against me and used against me, I will turn into a venomous snake. And anybody who says otherwise and pretends that they're above this sort of dysregulation, we must all be love and light always, is completely telling you a false narrative about how the nervous system, our energetic bodies, and how the intelligence of our body actually works, because it's simply not true. Being a regulated woman all the time and soft and allowing everything to happen is just basically allowing people to walk all over you all the time, self-abandoning and moving through self-betrayal. And I will scream that from the rooftops. I believe more women need to be really, really discerning. And I have some really cool ideas that with where I'm taking the Alchemy podcast from this moment on. I am navigating the world of dating, moving through that. We're going to be talking about dating codes, looking into boundaries, your unmet needs, how you can show up for yourself by bringing this unconscious longing to the surface and really getting tactile with it. I am really excited that I have moved through such a journey. I've moved through really high highs, really fucking low lows, and I've come out and I, as the podcast states, have alchemized it all in my system to bring medicine, to bring goodness. I have used this energy to create art, to tend to myself, to tend to my body. I have basically all the energy that I was giving away and it was being siphoned from me in this aspect. I have redirected it and really focused on myself, which I really want to talk about in later episodes as well. But my business is getting a workover. The Alchemy pod is getting a workover. My creative juices are flowing. People started opening up as soon as I severed and moved through like a closing and a ritual severing of this from my body and my womb. More people signed up to our embodied oracle immersion in Greece. I had money coming in. I have had opportunities to go and work in Thailand and also in America and guest speak and run and host events there. All of these things have opened up because all of my energy has returned to me, and I've severed the energy from being pulled out of my system. And so it's definitely filling me back up. I'm being filled up with like life and eros again, and it feels good. It feels so good to be here again, to welcome you into this space and to share with you my journey. I would say that if you want to be enlightened and conscious and really know who you are, get into a relational dynamic that is quite toxic and unhealthy, because it will highlight to you all the wounds that you are still carrying, all the ways that you still feel like you're not worthy, all of the insidious ways you sit into savior complexes and ways that you want to help people, and all of those unexposed intentions, unspoken intentions are the eroding of erotic aliveness. I will state that, but they will highlight this faster than any of the self-development work and spiritual and sexuality work you ever do. I guarantee you some of the deepest work I've ever done has been in relationships and in relating. And I will share with you from my viewpoint, from these experiences, what has transpired, because this has also really rebuilt my passion and desire for deeply connected relationships, for a union, for being able to communicate between man and woman. We're seeing the split of this being even highlighted. You know, I really want to bring back reverence and awe to and love, like, to these spaces where, you know, there's this such a disconnect, and I could really feel that this ache and the disconnect underneath everything, being misunderstood, miscommunication, all of the things. So I have opened up spaces again for my moving through relationships, and I've got some workshops and stuff that I will share with you later on down the track. Once I sit with this again, it's still a little bit raw, still a bit juicy in this, and I haven't fully 100% processed it, but I want to be able to share that you can be going through hard things, using that pain as medicine, as fuel for your fire, and still show up anyway. And that is exactly what I'm doing here. So thank you for joining me. I hope that was good. I'm back on the East Coast now. Like I said, I have been really processing some personal attacks on my work and who I am and my integrity at this moment, which I'm really enjoying, to be honest, because it's really made me sit and self-reflect a lot. And criticism will do that. People who criticize you, mock you, and attack you will have you looking at yourself and self-reflecting and anchoring in to be more incongruent with yourself and the truth of your being. But that is all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed this share of Alchemy with Sheeana Leigh. Let me know how you've been. It's good to be back. I would love to connect with you. Again, if you would like to work for me, you can come join me on the Honeypot, which is a self-paced deep dive into the pussy. And I will share those links there. One-on-one mentorships with me are also open. I currently have a couple of clients that are going through intense womb abuse, ancestral work in their body, which has been delicious to witness. And also you can join me at the Embody the Oracle immersion in Greece with Hannah, also as a co-collaborator. Those are my spaces that are open currently. I'll share all the details below. Let me know how you've been. Let me know if it was really good to see me back. I have some amazing guests already and lots of these podcasts in the works. Hannah's showing up. We're doing a little mini series on embodying the oracle. I have the beautiful Ginger coming up, and Nathan, I will introduce you to him. I met him over at the wedding and fell so in love with him. And they're all coming up this month. So stay tuned and let me know how you are. Lots of love. Till next time.